Welcome back to News Talk. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has unveiled a plan she believes will bring about a reduction in crime in the district. Elements of the plan, though, are proving controversial, and her announcement in D.C. was chaotic as protesters shouted her down virtually the entire time she spoke. Stephen Cheetah has our report.
Denouncing a plan for more police, harsher penalties, and a tougher approach to illegal guns, a group of activists rose up against Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Black Lives Matter, more than just a hashtag.
Undeterred, Bowser laid out her strategy to stem a spiking homicide rate. Among her top priorities, keeping guns out of the hands of prior violent offenders.
We should do all we can to make sure that they have no access to a gun.
The heated exchange went down in a hot auditorium Bowser plans to turn into a rec center. Some here say more police on the street is the wrong approach to fighting gun violence. After enduring a chorus of anger for much of her speech, Bowser addressed her critics pointedly.
To advocate for Black Lives Matter, I have supported and encouraged policies to put that slogan into action. And no matter how much they shout, I'm going to do that.
Stephen Cheetah, News Channel 8.
Thanks, Stephen. Joining us now, Ronald Hampton, a former police officer in the district. Mr. Hampton is the immediate past executive director of the National Black Police Association. He's now with the National Police Accountability Project. Welcome. Ron Moten is a community activist who works to mentor young people and end beefs between neighborhood groups. He was co-founder of the Peaceaholics. Ron Moten, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Ron Hampton, let me begin with you if I could. What's your reaction to the reaction the mayor's plan has generated?
My reaction is that this isn't the first time we've had increases in crime. It was in the 70s and 80s, and this isn't the first time we've taken this sort of draconian measure in terms of addressing it, pointing out or singling out a particular group of people, and then thinking that somehow or another that we're going to solve the problem by that and not including the community in terms of it, because this community has been active in these kind of issues for a very long time. And then looking at issues of gentrification in this city and how it has affected the city and how it hasn't benefited those who have traditionally lived in the city and haven't received the services related to it.
What part or parts of this do you take issue with? What concerns you?
Well, I think all of it. I think we ought not be, there are already rules and regulations and policies in place to deal with people who are on paper, parole or probation. There also, I don't think we need to enhance those things. If we're talking about mandatory minimums, if we're talking about searching people, detaining people for 72 hours, 3 days, we don't need to be doing that. It raises some constitutional questions around that when we talk about this particular population. But we need to be working with folk in the community, people who are on the ground working in those communities, because we haven't done that. There are reasons why these things have happened, and we haven't addressed those reasons yet.
Ron Moten, your thoughts?
Well, we all know in this city we had something similar where there was a rise in crime, and the city came together with everybody working together, not just law enforcement, community leaders, and we came together, identified the PSAs in the city that were causing the majority of the homicides. You had people like us. You had people like Brenda Jones, who worked with the families, who was on the stage, by the way, with the mayor. And everybody came together and created a holistic approach to deal with this, right? And one of the things that happened was this came out fast because of the reaction to the crime. And there are a lot of people in the returned citizen community who are upset because most people don't know D.C. prisoners are already treated unfairly because we're not a state. There are unjust laws that apply to a D.C. prisoner that don't apply to the other 51 states in this city. So when you come with something like this, and a lot of people don't really know all the facts about it, or the impact that it's going to have, or if there's going to be anything to monitor people who are going to be enforcing these laws that make sure people are not going over their boundaries, then people get nervous. And that's when you have outrage. The Black Lives Matter, I'm not really, I really care about that neither here or there, because most of the people in there weren't people from my community. I don't see those people every day, right? I want to work with people who are going to get on the ground and help solve the problem. Not saying they're not going to solve the problem, but there's more than that. We got to roll our sleeves up. We have to all come together, and we got to work to solve the problem. Yes, we have to hold people accountable, but we have to solve the problem.
To the extent that when disagreements occur, whether it's over a dice game or whatever, and it's solved not with peaceful discussion or coming together or fists, but guns. Do you understand the temptation to say guns are a part of this problem, and if we can get after the guns, we can help solve the problem?
But we've had that problem here for a long time, and this isn't the first time they've offered money for guns. And what the studies have shown, and what the history of it is that money for guns didn't solve the problem. Because if people want guns, they can do it. What you have to do is talk about how can we equip those young people with skills and resources so that they won't go from 1 to 10 immediately, but then somewhere stop in between to begin to utilize the skills that they have. Working with people like Ron and other organizations in the city, they're equipping in young people with those kind of things. And the studies will show that the strategies working with people in the community who are already in the community have a much more immediate effect in terms of, and even long-term effect on the problem of crime. But we can't go back to those old ways again.
Ron?
And I want to say that's one of the mistakes. I love the chief, but I think she's losing the support of the community because the community feels like she does not believe in them. It's all right to go to a press conference and say something, but I want to see Chief Lanier go back to the chief that I know who first took office, right? I'm telling you as a man, I'm straightforward. I love my chief, but I want to see her to go back to that grassroots person that made her who she was, who she is.
Well, see, and you're absolutely right, because see, those were in the days when she first got the job, and she was energetic, she was connected to the community, building that relationship that led to the tenure that she now enjoys. But the fact of the matter is that you have to earn your wings every single day. And so the question now is, like Ron raises, she's not engaged with the community, and all you had to do is ask the community. Ask the community beyond those ones that were standing on the stage. Because, see, that's not the affected community. Those people who are living at 7th and O Street, they're not engaging the police. The officers that are up there on the street, they're not talking to the people. When I walked the footbeat in the city, I can tell you that people knew me, and I knew the people. I knew the communities I worked in, but I also lived in the community. So those are the kind of things that really make a difference, because the chiefs that I work for took that as a policy, because those things mean something at the end of the day.
And I also like to say, one of the things that's so sad about yesterday, the mayor never got a chance to explain to the community what she's bringing to the community, which was what a lot of people in the audience were asking for, right? They're asking for more community involvement. They're asking for resources. They're asking for their opinion to matter. Like, one of the reasons why LaRuby May didn't talk about what she was going to do in Ward 8 is because she wants the community to help her craft what she's going to do in Ward 8. And that's the way things should happen throughout the city. Stop dropping a bomb on the neighborhood like, this is what we're going to do, and you don't have the community involved. You have to have community involvement, right? And I think things in this city can work out, because for 3 years, almost 4 years, the crime went down in this city. But what we did for the last 3 years, it has gone up, right? And we haven't paid attention to the tremors that we've been talking about. I always tell you about them, right? So the tremors have turned into an earthquake. This is not Muriel Bowser. This has been going on for 3 years, and nobody has addressed it, because we play with data, like I talked about in Concealing the Data in my Washington Post article. And people play politics, and they don't want to talk about the problems. We have to put the problems on the table, because it's not the police problem, it's not the community problem, it's a village problem. We all have to come together to address that.
No, I totally agree. Because there are communities in this city that when an issue like an uptick in crime occurred, the first thing the police department does is go sit down with the community, because the community's leaders will say, let's meet, let's talk about, let's craft a strategy to deal with these issues. And those communities are Georgetown, Upper Northwest, Wisconsin Avenue, and rightfully so, because that's the way the police should work. They should work with the community, and there should be some strategic collaboration that's taking place in developing the strategy. And then the community can do their job, and the police can do their job, and then the city agencies can do their job, because they have to put something at the table too, because the services are needed in these communities, and they're not getting there.
A great conversation. I thank you both for coming in. We'll continue our coverage of all this next week, but we're up on the clock. I do want to thank you both, Ron Hampton and Ron Moten.
Thank you.
The Rons, for being here today. Thank you both very much. We'll step aside here. When we return, a new era in relations between the U.S. and Cuba.